deal. But you would assume that Sabrina and Jonquel will get a deal pretty close to a Supermax, at least Sabrina. Now, Jonquel, getting a little older. But you're going to think she's going to command a pretty high salary. And you see that CBA creates complicated path. I think what's happened here with this new salary cap.
The salary cap situation created by the new CBA is not just a fever problem, it is a league-wide problem, and the New York Liberty are staring directly at the same wall. New York has built around what they consider their own core trio: Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones. Last September, Liberty General Manager Jonathan Cobb expressed full confidence that all three would be back in 2026.
This new CBA it's pretty evident you can forget about having a big three. All right? I think this is going to be a big two league with a bunch of character actors, right? Bunch of supporting cast. If you want solid supporting players on your team, but the math just doesn't work out to having a big three for your
That confidence may now be running into some hard arithmetic. Each of the three qualifies for the $1.4 million Supermax contract. The issue is that the new CBA introduced a hard cap of $7 million, and the Supermax now carries a 20% cap hit, a notable jump from the roughly 16.5% it represented under the previous agreement.
WNBA roster now, and of course that leads us back to the fever that's facing the Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark situation. And Caitlin's not even to the Supermax level yet. But the fact that, and I think the fever just thought, well, and that kind of tells you where they were at on the CBA. They thought they were signing Kelsey Mitchell. I think they're not so sure now. All right, I think they're not so sure.
The Supermax grew at a much faster rate than the overall cap itself, and that gap is where teams start running into trouble. If all three Liberty stars sign for $1 million each, that group alone would consume nearly 43% of the available cap space. Factor in a competitive starting five, and that number climbs to somewhere between 55 and 60% tight, but potentially workable, particularly if younger players like Leonie Fibich are still on rookie-scale deals.
Because I think the component they did not see coming, and nobody saw coming, was the WNBA throwing this epic clause in there that caused the two rookies, the rookie contracts, to escalate much higher than I think anybody thought they were going to go. Particularly the Leah Boston aspect, where she can make up to $1.1 million. So let's take a look at this. Despite the looming
the math is difficult, but not impossible, assuming players are willing to accept something below the headline Supermax number. Stewart's history here is relevant. In 2025, she signed for roughly $40,000 under the Supermax.
Certainty regarding a new collective bargaining agreement, Liberty General Manager Jonathan Kolb said last September that he had the utmost confidence Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones would return in 2026. Now, with a tentative CBA in place, the pathway to bring back the Liberty's big three may be complicated, but not impossible. Each member of the Liberty Star Trio is eligible for a $1.4 million Supermax contract.
Under the new structure, accepting a similar discount would mean leaving around $432,000 on the table. That is a different conversation entirely. Stewart's profile and her visible role in pushing for this CBA make it genuinely hard to justify her earning less than seven figures.
Given that the WNBA has a hard cap, though signing multiple players to Supermax deals is not feasible, heck, signing one Supermax contract will be tough for contending teams to swing. A challenge with the new collective bargaining agreement ratified Monday via unanimous vote by 90% of the Players Union members, but still pending the WNBA Board of Governors approval, is that the Supermax rose.
The same pressure exists across the league for teams trying to retain multiple high-value players. The new structure essentially kills the concept of a true big three. What teams can realistically build is a strong two alongside a solid supporting cast.
much more than the salary cap. Uh-oh, that's interesting. There will undoubtedly be a middle-class squeeze, and teams wanting to sign multiple stars will have to get creative in how they distribute their millions. A way to also make this work is by signing the trio to extended deals, giving them long-term security, and multiple sources have indicated that top free agents are seeking.
The salary math simply does not accommodate 3 supermax level salaries on one roster without gutting everything around them. Indiana faces a version of this same problem, and the new rookie contract escalators made it more complicated than the front office likely anticipated. Aliyah Boston can now earn up to $1.1 million under the new scale, which was not a number many people saw coming.
Multi-year deals. The salary cap is $7 million, up from $1.5 million last year. Meanwhile, the Supermax is a 20% cap hit. Man, that cap hit is rough. 20%. A significant jump from the previous CBA, where the Supermax accounted for roughly 16.5%. Also, teams are now required to carry 12 players. Yeah, but the 2 developmental.
Add Caitlin Clark in a third significant contract, and the Fever's flexibility shrinks fast. The players on the edges of this situation, Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, are each going to command more than league average. Hull is realistically looking at somewhere in the $700,000 to $800,000 range from a competing offer.
Tickets.com. This was a release by the Indiana Fever, bro. By the Fever about an hour ago. Watch this video. Schedule all the games. Aliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark working out. Getting ready.
Cunningham brings brand recognition and endorsement value that makes her immediately attractive to an expansion team looking to build an identity quickly. Mitchell represents instant offensive production with 0 off-court complications, exactly what a new franchise like Chicago or an expansion squad would target the moment she hits the open market. Running basic numbers on Indiana's projected starting 5 using the new scale, Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Hull. Cunningham lands somewhere around $4.43 million before filling out the rest of the roster.
Getting ready. This is major, y'all. Look at Caitlin handles, though. My goodness.
That is a significant portion of a $7 million cap, and every dollar left has to cover the remaining roster spots. How the Fever navigate that squeeze is the central roster story of this offseason. The Indiana Fever's latest promotional release is drawing attention, but not entirely for the reasons intended.
This is a quiet before the storm type video. But where's Kelsey Mitchell? Y'all see?
The team dropped a hype video ahead of the upcoming season featuring Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston working out, running through drills, and building anticipation for the new campaign. Tickets, schedules, the full package. What the video did not include, however, was Kelsey Mitchell.
This is major, bro. Because I believe they're telling us subliminally that Kelsey Mitchell was out of there, bro. That's what this is. I'm telling you. I'm one of the first people to say this. This video is letting us know. Be prepared. Fever season coming soon. Fever basketball. Get y'all tickets. Y'all, this video was profound. 116
That absence is being read as significant by a portion of the fan base. Clark's handle looked sharp throughout the clip, and Boston appeared in strong shape, but the missing third piece of what many considered Indiana's core trio stood out immediately in the comments section. One fan noted the need for Lexi Hull and KK to return, flagging Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham as priorities only if they don't break the cap.
comments. Somebody said Lexi and KK must come back. SC and Kelsey Mitchell, if not breaking the bank, need a fast forward with length. Caitlin Clark has an aggressive dribble. Why only CC there by herself? She's not there by herself. Doc, whoever the new admin is needs a raise. I can't lie. Look, let's see if anybody going to pick up on it. Why then is her coach take 3 weeks off during the key shorten of the season? Yeah, that is weird. We talked about that yesterday.
Another pointed out Clark appearing to work out solo in certain segments, raising questions about the overall roster picture heading into the season. The production quality of the video itself received praise. Whoever is handling Indiana's content deserves credit for the execution, but the conversation quickly shifted to what wasn't shown.
Yeah, that is weird. We talked about that yesterday. The best admin in the world. Thank you, GOAT. Good job, Cinema. Now, Aaliyah Boston did post this today. Nice practice workout with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Meanwhile, Aaliyah is having the time of her life vacationing right now and slaying in a beautiful bikini. Stunning and so beautiful. Now, Aaliyah Boston did post that on her Instagram, but I'm telling you right now, where is Kelsey? Be prepared. Be very, very prepared.
The underlying reason likely connects to the salary structure now in place. Clark and Boston are both on track for the $1.4 million Supermax in 2027, and that figure dominates every roster discussion around this franchise right now. Mitchell finished 4th in MVP voting during the 2025 season, a strong result that arguably puts her at peak market value right now.
Prepared for the news, because the news is coming. I would not be surprised if Kelsey Mitchell do not sign with the Fever, because all of this boils back to that $1.4 million salary, Supermax. Now, there's no doubt about it. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston both is going to get $1.4 million.
Waiting 2 years introduces uncertainty about where her stock lands relative to a new wave of talent entering the league. From a pure business standpoint, Mitchell signing with one of the league's expansion franchises, Portland or Toronto, makes considerable sense. A 4 or 5 year deal structured around her as a foundational piece would give her the kind of contract and featured role that Indiana may simply not be in a position to offer given what's coming down the cap road.
$0.4 million in 2027. Who's to say? Who's to say that Kelsey Mitchell don't think about that right now in the back of her head? Kelsey Mitchell's stock might go down in 27. She might not be that much of an impact of a player in 27. Now is the time for her to cash in. She was 4th in the MVP voting for the 2025 calendar season. If it was
expansion teams need a marketable, proven star to build identity around, and Mitchell fits that profile. The Fever video generated over 100 comments quickly and plenty of organic attention. But the detail drawing the most scrutiny isn't what was in the clip, it's the player who wasn't.